Dynamics and dynamics. Let me fix this a little bit. I can edit all this, right? Dynamics in music and in fine art. The treatment of light and depth perception and how they affect our response. This past spring, my husband and I went on a trip to the Tuscany region of Italy. We enjoyed attending the magnificent Uffizi Gallery in Florence. The artwork was incredible to experience live. I studied art history, so I was familiar with the pieces at the museum. However, there is no comparison to actually being there. It reminds me of the live concert experience compared to listening to a recording of a concert. The colors, the shading, the treatment of light, the composition of the fine art pieces, and the depth brings the enjoyment to a much higher level. I would like to share with you the connection of light and depth in visual art and musical art, the dynamics. I would like to share with you the connection of light and depth in visual art and musical art. I would like to share with you the connection of light and depth in visual art and in music making, the dynamics. This first piece here I'd like to show you is um, a pre-Renaissance piece, and you can see the blocks of color. There is some shading in the um, colors of the robes. On it, this the subject of this is. Let's see, what is this the subject of? Never mind. There's a new one. I'd like to share with you pre-Renaissance paintings. This particular painting here is dated about 1300 AD, and we could see that there's blocks of colors. It's very beautiful. Yes, it's very beautiful, but at the same time, it doesn't look natural and real. What we have going on here is not really the contrasts are very vague as far as what we hold on a second. Let me get rid of that. I I don't know what happened to it. I like to share with you some pre-Renaissance paintings, so you could see that there's just blocks of colors here. It doesn't really have a depth or interest so much. These pieces from their altar pieces were mainly meant to be as used as teaching tools for illustrations, as the priest would give a lecture or a sermon. I should call it a sermon. These pieces were actually used as teaching tools. They would be illustrations that the parishioners will look up at the pictures as the priest would be giving their sermon. It had to be the type of thing that where they needed a visual. to understand what was being said, because many people during that time, those times, really didn't speak, read. They really didn't read. Okay, this piece, this I'm beginning with the pre-Renaissance altarpieces. If you could see here, these pieces are from about the late 1300s, and you could see that these just using blocks of color. There's really no shadings of color. There's little facial expression. Everybody seems to be in a drawn, droll look, like always looking the same, like, oh, this is so wonderful. In that time in history, very few people read. They wouldn't be able to read the Bible. They weren't even allowed to read the Bible back then. So even if they could read, only the clergy would be allowed to read the Bible. So as the priest would be giving his sermon, they would be looking up at these pictures and with visuals that help them to understand those particular Bible stories. So the figures look flat, and on the surface, yes, they're very beautiful, and we do respect the tremendous skill there. But as you can see, there's nothing more to it than that. Here's another one. It's the Sienna from a fresco from the unearthed from an old church, the original beginnings of the cathedral in Siena. And you could see here also flat colors, beautiful, but nothing looks natural like the way it would be look in real life. So now we're going to switch over to a piece by Stomer. Go back a little bit. Okay, so now we can see a tremendous amount of difference here when we look at this, the Stomer's Annunciation. There, in Florence, there are countless pictures using the subject of the Annunciation. So in this particular one, this picture is actually from 1635, and he began this painting in 1635 and completed it in 1640. I guess it was something that as he was doing it, he was studying how light reflects against fabric and people's faces. The use of it's really a study. It's a beautiful picture, and you could see now here we could see contrast, tremendous contrast in the shadings, and how that makes the picture actually come to life. We could also see expressions on their faces. This would be the dynamics. We can consider this the dynamics in fine art. Okay, you could see the eye contact between Gabriel the Archangel as he looks into Mary's eyes. Mary looks pensive and with one hand across her chest, like, oh, is he really saying that? You know, instead of just the arms being just out like it would be the hands just not really saying anything. It's something that would be a real life reaction to hearing the great news that she was going to have be the mother of the Messiah. So, and you could see the study of the darkness. Look at the dark background, the tremendous contrast of the very dark against what you're seeing in the picture over here. Okay, so this is really amazing. Stay with me because we have more I have more things, wonderful things to show you. Okay, we're going to take it a step further here. Okay. Now this picture is magnificent. This is Mussini's 1828 painting of Da Vinci being mortally ill and being very old and mortally ill. Now, this picture, I love it because not only does it have a great amount of wonderful composition going on here. If you could see that the main theme, if we could say, if in musical terms, we could consider Da Vinci the main theme. Okay, the colors pop out. He used for the bedding. There's yellow, yellow fabric. Looks like some kind of satinish type of velvet, gorgeous, shimmering fabric, and he is laying against a white background. And you could see now you could look around at the different expressions on the faces. This creates a tremendous amount of momentum and energy, which we would also see in a great piece of music, because you have here the idea of the shadings of the fabric, the light, how the contrast of shadow and the brilliance of light, the visual colors of harmony clash with the shadows to bring out a natural awareness, an energy with the visual consonance of the beauty of the fabrics and the dissonance of the different expressions and the as you spread out, you see the in the picture, the further ends of the picture, you see darkness and not as detailed, just sort of shadows coming in. That creates the energy, the depth that we're looking for. The energy, as I said before, the energy, the depth that we were looking for. No more flat figures with no expression. The treatment of light makes the composition focus on the subjects. If it were music, we would call it the main theme, the movement, the energy, the emotion. That would be the dynamics in visual art. We can also appreciate storytelling that comes with fine art. Just as a piece of music has a story to tell, so does an art piece. Compositional focus on the subject with symbols are a form of dynamic expression to tell the story of the piece. So next we're going to look at a piece by Tiziano. Let me find that piece. Time out. This can be edited. Let me find it over here because I can't find it the other place. Time out. This is going to be edited. Okay. Okay, here we have a portrait of Eleonora Gonzaga, Duchess of. So here we have a picture by Tiziano, a painting that was done right in the middle of the Renaissance. Okay, so here we have a portrait of Eleonora Gonzaga. So here we have a portrait of Eleonora Gonzaga, the Duchess of Urbino. This painting was done in 1637 by Tiziano. It was probably painted while the Duchess was in Venice in the winter of 1536 to 1537, and it predates that of her husband, the Duke Francesco Maria del Rovere. No, we don't need to know all that. So here's a picture of it's here's a portrait of Eleonora Gonzaga, the Duchess of Urbino. Okay, as you could see, there she's sitting there. She's looking quite regal. She was supposed to be a very loving woman with a beautiful, faithful wife, and you could see that she has a lapdog sitting near her. That is a symbol of marital fidelity. She was the guardian and the guardian of womanly virtues. So here we have a portrait of Eleonora Gonzaga, the Duchess of Urbino. This picture was done by Tiziano in the year 1537 while she was visiting in Venice in that winter. Now, for this portrait, you could see there's some symbols going on. There's a little lapdog by her. A lapdog is a symbol of marital fidelity and a guardian of womanly virtues. From this painting, there were pieces, beautiful sonnets written about this wonderful woman. These sonnets were written by Aretino, and it celebrates the fact that she was that type of woman. She was supposed to be very gracious and loving. And her husband's picture is also very, very wonderful. You can see from this painting, she's got on a coat of armor, and which is a symbol of strength and protecting. They were supposed to be a very loving couple and had a very special life together. So we have with all these wonderful pictures of these two couples. Of course, wearing the coat of armor is showing that he's a protector and a brave man that is worthy of honor. So these are interesting symbols, I think. Okay, if we go down a little further here, Del Sarto's picture of the Madonna and the Child. And you could see there's a Saint Francis there and a Saint John the Evangelist. Okay, these are more, have symbols in there. Okay, so let's look that over. Okay, time out. Okay, for this, you can see John the Baptist. The symbol for John the Baptist is him holding looks like a, a staff with a little, almost like a cross on top. And we have over here John the Evangelist holding a book. This is very typical symbols used back then to let you know which saint it would be. So it's telling a story, just like our pieces of music tell a story. In music, a subject could be the main theme, and that's developed in the composition. That's the center of the piece. So, a symbol can be patterns in the development to create the journey of the piece as it tells the story. It can sway us emotionally and harmonically. It can sway us. It can sway us emotionally with harmonically and melodically. it can sway us emotionally, both harmonically and melodically, to influence the story of the piece. So those little symbols, it could be a little catch of a little motif, could be could show us something more that add the depth to the piece. Okay, now we're going to go to the Adoration of the Child by Del Notte. Okay. As you can see with this picture, going back to the idea, the main theme, the subject, what would it be? Of course, it's baby Jesus, and the light around the fabric, and the glow coming up towards the people looking at the baby. Okay, we see two angels with their hands. One of them is in a prayer position. The other one has the hands across the chest. Look at the expressions on the faces. Now we're seeing a more natural look, not just something that's just sort of adoration and just gazing upward. They're looking down with joy and adoration. You could look at the looks in their eyes. You could see now, if you notice the background here, the background is all in darker colors, so that the light and the shadows, the contrast of the deep shadows in the background against the light creates the energy and the dynamics. This is a gorgeous piece, isn't it? So you could see that, yes, they're angels because you see swept back wings in the background. And typical, you can tell that Joseph would be behind Mary there, because the symbol of it being Joseph back then would be, he would be holding a staff and looking like an older gentleman. So there's so much to it. Look at the treatment of light on Mary's hands, on Mary's face, the angel's face. So all these tremendous contrasts. Look at the straw. You know it's straw because there's a contrast of the little bit of deep goldish kind of brown, light brown, and then there'd be little parts where it's just the straw is coming to a brighter color because it's reflecting off the light that's coming from the main theme, the subject, the baby. So this piece was painted in 1619 by Del Notte. Okay, now we're going to look at a few more pictures. I'm coming down the roll here. This one here is got to be one of the most dramatic out of the paintings I've shown you so far. This is Caravaggio's Sacrifice of Isaac. It was painted in 1685. I'm sorry, it was painted in 1585. It was painted in 1585. Notice the treatment of light and shadows. Look at the extreme contrasts going on here. Look at the facial expressions. Look at Isaac's face. It's natural, as if he's really there and it's really happening. It's to the point, it's so natural, it's almost supernatural. Well, it was a supernatural thing that happened, wasn't it? So the dynamics, look at the way the angel is stopping Abraham from sacrificing Isaac. Look at Abraham's straight arm holding Isaac's neck. And he's just about to end it all. And look at besides all that, because it's telling a beautiful story, look in the background over here. It's near Isaac's head is the ram in the bush. This is a magnificent piece. Matter of fact, this piece is so outstanding. I love Caravaggio that I think just seeing this one piece would make it worthwhile to stand in line and go into the gallery. It was just something to behold. Now we're going to go back to one more piece. This is a piece by Del Notte. So you see here we're talking about, first we were talking about just color and contrast. And we were talking about depth and and how that affects the contrast. It creates the depth to make something look from just being a simple image to coming alive. Now, then we talked about facial expression, how facial expression makes it even come that much more alive. This is all the dynamics of beautiful artwork, okay? So here we go. There's one last picture I want to share with you. It's Del Notte's. Oh my God, this is such a magnificent picture. If I could ever find it. Oh, here it is. Della Note's. Okay, I'm going to share one more picture with you. The Della Notte painting of Supper with a lute player. Oh my goodness, what a magnificent painting this is. Now, if you look at this one, you'll see the contrast of light and dark, the study of that, the extreme. Look at the back of the person that in the red robe, red outfit, with the feathers in his hat, with a drink in his hand. Compare that contrast there to that would be right in the foreground. However, the subject, the main theme, is that lute player in the middle. Notice the energy. Everyone has turned in different ways. Some people are looking at the lute player. A few people are looking at the person next to him that's over there doing his thing. I don't know. It looks like he's eating something. Oh, and it looks like they're having a grand old time. Okay, but you'll see the dramatic contrast. Who would think to put a dark color right in front of that main theme? So it's expect the unexpected. The clash there is what makes it really come alive. Okay, so I hope all that is helps you. Do you see the relationship of visual light and shadows with the musical light and shadows of sound dynamics? Do you see the relationship of light and shadows with of fine art? Do you see the relationship of light and shadows in fine art and musical light and shadows of sound dynamics. Fine details, the treatment of the main subject in the composition, symbols, and shadings are the nuances in storytelling. Fine details, treatment of the main subject in composition, and shadows of and symbols and shadings are the nuances in storytelling. The music with the shading of dynamic contrast creates that natural state, something that's alive, no flat figures.